Welcome to this session on making homes, families, and communities as frontiers for affordable and accessible nutrition. Let me introduce myself. I am Dr. Satish Kumar, and I have great pleasure in welcoming you all. And we will have very enriching session. Let's hope so, because the topic itself is very relevant and important. So I think in this session we'll be having 4 or 5 speakers. We will have Dr. Sanjiv Kumar, we'll have Dr. Seema Puri, we'll have Dr. Davina, we'll have Dr. What's there? Dr. Dr. Shalini. Am I missing anybody? Now, let me begin by saying that we are grateful to the organizer, Integrated Health and Wellbeing Council, for organizing this session as part of the celebration under National Nutrition Week, which began 2 days ago. Well, the very purpose of National Nutrition Week, which has been celebrated for, I think, more than many decades now, is really to create an awareness, public awareness and social momentum to improve nutrition status of our population. But somehow, you must have heard, and you'll bear me out when I say that the situation on the ground is far from satisfactory. We have the unfortunate distinction of having largest number of malnourished children and mothers. Global Health Index, Hunger Index places us on 104th position. I think now we have moved to 102 position out of 117 countries. And what is most painful to note is that the country's score has only improved by, say, 22-23% over the last 30 years. When we compared this progress, this improvement, with our neighboring countries like Nepal, which has improved this score by 40%, even Pakistan has improved this by, say, about 28%, Brazil by 45%. So really, I mean, this is a cause for concern. This is in spite of the fact that we are producing enough food grains. The cereal production has been quite sufficient. Rice production, wheat production, milk production, we are self-sufficient in that. And it has been a situation for quite some time. There has been improvement in GDP. So the food is there, but this food has to be made accessible in the family to those who need it most. And then there's a paradox. The number of families, households, where both adults and children, they eat sufficient quantity, has again declined from, say, 20%, say, to. And what is more paradoxical to note is that in more than 50% of the families, I think, where the child with malnourishment is there, adults are consuming sufficient calories. So something we have to really be very careful about. And it is in this context that the subject of today's discussion assumes critical significance. The frontiers, the family, the household, the community, they have really to make collective effort to change the situation on the ground. I think production is one thing, but then distribution of food, after fortification, intra-familiar distribution, cultural practices, supporting caregivers in the family, all those things are critically important. So I will stop here, and then we'll begin with the introduction of speakers, and then we'll have views expressed by learned panelists. So at the very outset, I think I'd like to sort of invite Dr. Sanjiv Kumar. Now, let me introduce Dr. Sanjiv Kumar. Dr. Sanjiv Kumar is a medical and public health professional with more than 40 years of experience. And he is a postgraduate and medical graduate from All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Delhi. And he served UNICEF for more than 24 years, within the country, outside the country. More than 22 countries he has worked as health and nutritional professional, and thereafter as regional advisor. And then after coming back to India, he served International Institute of Health Management Research as Dean to start with, and then very recently he's also served this institute as a director. He also served Government of India as Executive Director, National Health System Resource Center. And at the moment, he is the chairperson of Academy of Public Health Academy, and he's also advising, number of NGOs and other professional groups. I'm fortunate to have worked with Dr. Sanjiv Kumar and to have known him for more than 30 years. Now, Dr. Sanjiv, over to you. What are your views on this very important topic? And let us hear.
Thank you, Dr. Satish Kumar. Before we came live, I was discussing with Dr. Seema Puri and other panelists that we have this false feeling that we are the experts and the community is kind of illiterate and they need something we can deliver. Even in the previous session, some of the speakers said we have problems in delivering what we want to deliver to the people. I think India has become or is becoming a superpower in information technology, in agriculture production, in space technology, because of the people, not because of the government. Yes, government puts in place policies which facilitates the work. So if we are self-sufficient in food grain, despite increase in population threefold, and in 60s, when I was in school, we were not having sufficient food. But today we have. So each one of the farmers is producing that food, not the government. Government is facilitating that. So similarly, when you talk about nutrition, look at each one of the families, each one of the homes as the resource person, not the other way around. So I think we need to have bottoms-up approach. And there are a lot of good things happening in families. If children are malnourished, more than half of them are well nourished. Why? Because the families are taking good care. So look at what is the behavior which makes children well nourished and what are the behaviors which make them undernourished, and change the policy to facilitate, identify the behavior which is good and is already being practiced by a majority of families, and how can we improve on that. We look at broadly three components. One is the food production component, mainly agriculture, which produces food grain, cereals, oil seeds, fruits and vegetables. These are essential for improving nutrition for all of us. Then you have industry, sugar, oil, salt. Then you have agro industry, which picks up the food grain and converts it into industrial products which are related to nutrition. Then you have animal husbandry. You have milk products, you have ghee, you have eggs, meat, etc., which comes from animal husbandry. So these are three primary sectors which produce food, and the food is then goes through the supply chain and it comes to the final frontier, which is home. You take food at home. you cook food at home. So that's very important. So every one of these two other components and the policy environment must support the families. And what happens at the family? They decide what to buy. They decide what to cook. They decide how to cook it and how to handle the food at home. They decide what to give to the vulnerable, pregnant women, lactating women, children, elderly, those with non-communicable diseases, etc. They decide how much to give to whom. They decide how often, in what quantity. All that happens at home. So let's keep that in mind. And that's why I say, if you want to fight malnutrition, improve the nutrition of the country, the final frontier is home and the family. So there are three major factors. I will go into a little detail of the third factor. First one is access. The food has to reach them. And there are also instances when a farmer produces healthy food, but he or she sells it in the market and buys something which is not as nutritious. So those who produce food not necessarily take that nutrition food where they should be taking. So one is the access. Second is affordability. Why do they sell the food they produce? Even if it is because they get more money and they buy food where they spend less money. It may be less nutritional. So they move to cash crops, etc. So even farmers, a large population of India is into farming. Even their children, their families are malnourished because they are not using the food they are producing for the rest of the country. The third practice, I will go into that a little more detail, how the food is handled and cooked at home. You have food habits which have very strong roots in socio-cultural practices, local tradition, local customs, local beliefs. You have religious beliefs. You know, some people will not eat beef and some people will not eat pork. So these are the religious beliefs which handle. I will go into little detail of traditional practices. In India, because of Ayurveda, which has been here for thousands and thousands of years and has very good practices which are in place. We, the so-called modern qualified people, don't believe in those practices. Give you an example. Many foods are considered to have garam tasir, hot tasir, hot after effect. What are these? Meat, fish, eggs, jaggery, sugar, almonds, groundnut, coconut, fried foods, mango, jawar, bajra, very nutritious cereals. Then you have foods with cold tasir. You have curd, buttermilk, rabdi, green leafy vegetables, green gram, lemon, salt, etc. Then certain foods are considered heavy. Black gram, the pulses in general, beans, halwa, buffalo milk, ghee. Then some foods are considered light, and all of us have grown in our childhood. When we were sick, we were given these foods which are considered light. Khichdi, dalia, rice, curd, saag, bread, biscuits, cow milk. I remember when I was growing up as a child in a small town, if somebody went out to buy bread, the first question was, oh, is somebody sick in your family? So, you know, some of these foods have been traditionally used. And how does it affect practices? I was at a primary health center, Dr. Satish, and we qualified from AIMS, you know, big doctors with bloated heads and bloated egos. The villagers were advised, pregnant women, this was predominantly a vegetarian village called Dayalpur, our PHC headquarter village. We will tell women, take legumes, दालें खाया करो. And they would say, नहीं डॉक्टर साहब दाल तो गर्म होती है, बच्चा गिर जाएगा. And we said, what nonsense. I am telling you, I am the doctor, please go and take dal more often. And also they used to have good papaya produce in that village. They will say, give them more vitamin A rich food, you grow papaya. And they will again say, no sir, papaya is hot and abortion will take place. And we will rebuke them, laugh at them, send them back home. What was the result? They didn't even take iron folic acid tablets we were advising them to take. All our advices were ignored. This doctor is a fool, doesn't even know. I am illiterate, I know that these foods are warm. So I went back, studied, bought Charak Samhita, studied the Charak Samhita and came back. And after reading that, I talked to them, put little salt in the dal. ओ यस डॉक्टर साहब, हाँ हाँ, दाल के नमक के बिना तो हम खाते ही नहीं है, और जो नमक की तासीर है वो तो ठंडी होती है और दाल की तासीर गर्म होती है, वो तो बहुत बढ़िया. And they started not only consuming दालें, they also started consuming iron, folate, and listening to our advice. We need to respect what their traditional beliefs are, not just laugh at them and ridicule them. Otherwise, you will not be accepted as a professional. They will not listen to any other advice as well, and you will not be able to provide services. You also have some traditional practices, Anna Prashan Sanskar, all of you have heard, and it is common across the whole country. At 6 months, the baby is introduced to semi-solids, kheer. Rice and milk preparation is the commonest food given to the baby when you have Anna Prashan Sanskar. You also have small babies massaged in sun for vitamin D. Now we are saying, oh, we don't get exposed to sun, and most of us are suffering from vitamin D deficiency. So that traditional practice of massaging the baby with oil, taking all clothes off, is good for. So there are many good traditional practices. We should build on them and go, yes, that's a great thing you are doing, but can you do this as well? Then you start addressing undesirable practices. Then food preparation, sprouting, fermenting, and issues related to how do you cut and wash the vegetables. Tell them not to wash it after cutting, because then water soluble vitamins will also get washed away. Cooking, at what temperature? Some of the food items, micronutrients like vitamin C and one of the B complex vitamins, thiamine, get destroyed. Boiling milk is good, kills the bacteria. That's a traditional practice in India. They boil milk and it makes it more digestible, and it also kills bacteria. So, home is the right place. We have been advocating right from the inaugural session on day one that we need life course approach to nutrition. It starts in utero and needs to continue when they become elderly and are ready to leave the world. So that approach can only be practiced at home, because you have a pregnant woman and you also have people who are elderly. Family, home is the largest training institute in the world. All the adolescents, all the children pick up desirable food practices and food preferences at home. So that should be the university, and let's treat that as university for educating children and adolescents for picking up the desirable practices. And when a baby is 6 to 9 months old, the taste buds are developing that time, and that is the time the baby needs to be given the desirable foods which you want to give. Don't give high salt, don't give high sugar, because then the baby will get used to high sugar and high salt food, which will be predisposing baby to many diseases in the adult. So by focusing on the family and community and home, you will be able to improve the nutrition status. The sectors, the government only has to put in place desired policies. Don't be under the false belief that we will deliver and they will take it. That is a wrong, bureaucratic, colonial approach to addressing nutrition problem. It will not work. I am very happy. Yesterday, the government announced they are going to convert the bureaucrats into karma yogis, so that they don't continue to work in silos. They don't talk to each other. They belong to the same cadre, but one ministry doesn't talk to the other. They want to work on their own. So this effort hopefully will bring different sectors together, because everything you do in whatever sector, public or private or ministries, gets together at the family level. So why not at the planning level itself, you start looking at comprehensive integrated approach and break down the silos in which we are used to used to working. Another initiative, the Prime Minister announced in the Mann Ki Baat last Sunday, nutrition monitors at community level, nutrition card, that will also improve nutrition at family, at home, and institutions at community level. With that, thank you, Dr. Satish.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Sanjiv. I mean, you have brought to surface many important, dimensions, and particularly, I'm quite impressed by your, pointing out the fact that within the same family you have children who are not malnourished, in spite of the fact that there are children in the same family who are terribly malnourished. So this whole approach called positive deviance has really led us to solve say serious problems at the community level of child malnutrition, and we'll discuss more about that. And I think the family really is the most critical, say, place where child nutrition can be promoted. Not only that, family is also a place, as you very rightly pointed out, where intrafamilial, food distribution and inequities can be handled. So we'll have further discussion on these very important points raised by you, and the role of community and the role of the household itself with regard to the sanitation practices, because we have to also prevent the nutrient loss within the family. The whole issue of social determinants affecting at the family level. If time permits, we'll have discussion. Now we move on to our next panelist, who is Dr. Seema Puri. Now let me introduce Dr. Seema Puri. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Puri. She is currently Executive Council member of Nutrition Society of India, and also a member of the Indian Academy of Geriatrics and International Federation of for Home Economics. She's also a member of FSSAI, the Food Safety Standards Authority of Government of India, especially on the scientific panel on labeling, claims, advertisement, and also on dietary production and nutraceuticals. So it's a very important position she's holding in advisory capacity. And she has over 30 years of teaching and research experience with a specialized training in nutrition epidemiology, qualitative research methodology, global health research, and social gerontology. She has undertaken consultancy, research, and advisory assignments with UNICEF, WHO, University of Sydney, Department of Science, Technology, and ICMR, and she has over 50 publications in peer-reviewed journal, and she's also an author of a very popular textbook on nutrition and dietetics. Over to you, Dr. Seema. Let's build on what Dr. Sanjiv Kumar has said, and how can really we have family, community, and households empowered to deal with this problem of child malnutrition, maternal malnutrition, which has been in the country for quite some time, which is pervasive and persistent. So let's hear your point of view on how to really solve this problem. Dr. Seema, the floor is yours. Dr. Seema, yeah.
Very crucial. Thank you, Dr. Satish Kumar, for a very gracious introduction, and IHW for inviting me here today. I think Dr. Sanjiv Kumar has set the pace for today's discussion, and I'll just take on from there. When I think of this topic, I think of three words: affordable, accessible, and available. So that available component is very, very important also. And for this, besides what all Dr. Sanjiv Kumar said about culture, tradition, looking at the perspectives of the people, a very strong thing that I feel about is that go local, promote traditional. These are very important. We have forgotten our traditional foods, and we are more into status conscious, we've forgotten things like palsa or shetut or lokat or the certain indigenous varieties of pulses and cereals which are consumed all over India. And we are busy promoting apples from the US or kiwi from Thailand, etc., etc. So I think it's time to go local, to look at foods which are available, which are grown in that area, and they are very rich in nutrient content. The other important thing is that the foods which are locally available will definitely be cheaper, more nutritious, and more accessible and affordable for these people. Again, promoting the use of all parts of the plant. You know, if you look at traditional culture, they would use the root, they would use the leaves, they would use the seeds for the same plant, and all these different parts of the plant, like say if you even take a radish, they would use the radish leaves in a paratha, they would use the radish as salad. So using the complete plant would also give a lot of additional benefits to the communities or the individuals. The thing that I would like to emphasize here, that we have to keep pace with changing times. And today's generation is not really into accepting traditional foods so easily. And therefore, we may need to contemporize them. So when I'm saying contemporize them, it's like, look at the story of turmeric latte. You know, everybody goes to Starbucks and pays 300 rupees for a glass of turmeric latte. And who hasn't had haldi wala doodh at home, you know, ever? So it's just about the jargon, about modernizing things so that it appeals to the younger generation. You know, when the lockdown started, we had a lot of Dalgona coffee. Dalgona coffee was just nothing but the traditional piti hui coffee, which used to be whipped at home by our mothers and given to everybody, guests when they arrived. So these are, you know, things which we need to do. We have momos. I was surprised to see momos, which are traditionally a northeastern dish, are being sold in Jhajjar, at every corner, at every crossroad. Can we make them more nutritious? Maybe add a little more greens in them. You get momos, you get tandoori momos, peri-peri momos, pan-fried momos, you name it, and you have 20 varieties of momos. Could we do that to our traditional recipes? Tweak them a little bit, make them more acceptable to the younger generation, make them more with it, I say, so that they are readily consumed. The other thing is the accessibility. You know, I am always surprised that you go to a place like Rohtang Pass. I went to Rohtang Pass, it was snowing, but there was a stall selling instant noodles. Nothing else, biscuits and instant noodles. If the industry can get the noodles up to that height and such a remote corner, can we ensure that nutritious food also reaches there? It could be a public-private partnership approach. It could be requesting the industries to pitch in as part of their CSR initiatives to use their networks to also get healthy food across. So that's the accessibility which I feel is very important. We were supervising a school and the principal was very proactive. He just closed down the school canteen and asked Mother Dairy to open a stall there. And children automatically shifted from Coke to flavored milk because that was accessible to them, it was available to them. So these are small approaches which could be adopted to make the food, healthy food, more accessible and available to the consumers. Another example, I'm giving you examples from the field because working in this area, it's very interesting to see these examples and learn from them. An NGO in Ludhiana, in Punjab, I saw it in Ludhiana, they have opened Hearts. So every farmer can get his produce there and they have a minimum price written on the board. So suppose I've grown spinach, I can get the spinach there and sell that, and that money is deposited in my account and I can get instead tomatoes or wheat or rice or potatoes, whatever is being sold there. So the farmers are not stuck with perishables, because the biggest problem in the farming thing is the farmer says, why should I grow palak? I don't know where to sell it. Sar jayegi. You know, tomatoes rotten ho jayenge. So they have a place where they can give their excess produce and get something else in exchange. There's no money paid, but it's only a barter system. They also had women who had volunteered to sit there and cut saag or, you know, peel peas. So they were giving points for the labor that they were putting in, which they could buy healthy food instead. So I thought that was a very nice approach, which could also be adopted at other parts of the country. And then, of course, we have the traditional talk. We talk about community gardens, nutri gardens, school gardens, which are coming up. Even in a place like Delhi, I've been to certain schools where the principal has taken the initiative to start the gardens. And the children grow these foods, and then these children are given some of those produce when it comes out. So those are some of the promotive aspects. When I talk of the things that we need to discourage to promote healthy food, I think one thing is what we call HFSS foods. The high fat, sugar, salt foods need to be discouraged. And that, of course, the school plays a very important role. There should be community monitors. There has been talk of policies like increasing tax on the soda tax in some countries or on the junk food. And also the food labeling. So labeling becomes very crucial in trying to communicate the message of healthy food and what one should eat and what one should not eat. And of course, India is working towards nutrition profiling, front of pack nutrition profiling, where pictorially it will be depicted whether the food is healthy or not. So I think that's a very good step that we are taking. And I'd just like to end by saying that we need to discourage an obesogenic environment. Today, we are living in a world where it's hard to work, but easy to eat. It's hard to move, but easy to eat. And that is something we need to discourage. So opportunities for physical activity. In fact, the lockdown, if you see, has given an opportunity. Bicycle sales have shot up. Everybody is cycling because the roads are free. There is place to move around. So physical activity, enhancement, and opportunities to eat wrong should be decreased. So that's just my take on how to improve the community, family, and home as frontiers for affordable, accessible, and available nutrition. Thank you, sir.
Very, very thought-provoking discourse. And I really like to stand on modernizing the traditional foods.
Yes.
And also extending the outreach of availability of nutritious food by entering into some kind of collaboration with the private sector. I mean, they can do the job. That's really very, very important. And you very well ended your talk by saying that we have to change the lifestyle. Now, people should do physical activity in order to earn their lunch or their dinner.
Yes.
So that's really very, 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 very important. And I must say that it has to be a very, very concerted, collective effort at the home front, with the family, and with the community to really deal with this problem of malnutrition. Thank you so much for that. And we now move on to our next speaker. And who is, I will request Dr. Shalini. Dr. Shalini Somasundaram, who is with us. She is Chief Dietitian and Head of the Department at Columbia Asia Hospital in Pune. She's also worked in Pune as Senior Dietitian in Aditya Birla Memorial Hospital. And Dr. Shalini has also worked in Chennai as a dietitian in ACER Hospital and also as the chief dietitian at Talwalkar's Better Value Fitness Centers and is a research dietitian in lifelong wellness and solutions there. He also has professional experience of working in Mumbai, in Anjali Mukherjee Total Health Centers as a nutritionist. So she has experience of working as a nutritionist, as a research dietitian, as a clinical dietitian. So let us hear from Dr. Shalini what has been her perspective of looking at nutrition problem as a clinical dietitian and as a research dietitian. Because most of the time, we in public health nutrition, we look at, nutrition profiles and the impact of government intervention program on most vulnerable, segment of population. like, pregnant mother, like under 5 children, infants, like adolescents. But we really don't know what is the nutrition profile of those, people who are recovering in the hospitals, or what is the, say, aftermath of, say, diseases like cancers, diabetes, hypertension. What is the nutritional status there? So what is your perspective, Dr. Shalini, on improving the nutrition status when you are saddled with the responsibility of handling, nutrition status of those who are admitted in the hospital, or those who come to you with a specific nutrition problem? Over to you, Shalini.
Definitely. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your warm welcome. And actually, I'm very happy to thank you for this opportunity. As you have been asked regarding in the hospital setup, how we have been working with the patients, like whenever they've been coming to the hospital just for a checkup, they used to come, and once we have been saying the patient condition has been getting thoda deteriorate ho raha hai, that time if the doctor has been advised for the admission and all, so that time it's been very difficult to convince the patient, because they will be having a mindset and they used to have a habitual things of having their own pattern of dietary intake. And whenever we have been meeting a patient for the first time, we used to ask for the dietary recall, what the foodstuffs they have been having, what is their own habits. With that we'll be proceeding the things. But once we have been according to the dietary habits and according to the present biochemical parameters and the present condition, we used to suggest them the dietary modifications and the dietary changes in their current pattern. But for some patients, it has been very difficult to start with the dietary changes all of a sudden. But even though we have been making small modifications in the diet, according to them, it will be like a big thing to change all of a sudden. So that's the difficulties we have been facing. And moreover, regarding with the topic, what we have been discussing, as it's been related to the hospital also, I'm saying, mainly the diet or nutrition has been playing a major role, and it has been mainly with the family. Like, however, we have been convincing the family, so that will be depicting the result. And what are the dietary modifications we have been giving to the patients, it will be implemented only with the help of a family people. So whenever we have been doing a counseling also, we used to concentrate on the family members. Mostly if the male patient has been there, we used to convince the wife and the mother. As such, like, they are the concerned person, they will be making all the food, kuch bhi preparation hai, and what are the dietary modification they have to do it has been regarding in their own hand. So we used to counsel them only, and mainly in the family, like how we used to consider, like from infants till old age, the main role has been in the family only, starting from the infant stage, in the pregnant women, lactating women, and in the children like toddlers, school going children, and adulthood, in the old age. Everyone is been having their own requirement according to the age, according to their activity, and according to their height and weight. But nowadays you can see, how much ever we have been saying about a malnutrition, and we have been seeing the opposite version of obesity and overweight in the children's also, and mostly in the children's only. And childhood obesity has been major role, like it has been end up in other comorbidities in their future. And we have so many cases of type 1 diabetes, and also some other type of cancers in children's. So nowadays, because of the dietary modifications and because of the food habits, how it is being changed. Likewise, Seema ma'am and Dr. Sanjiv sir has been told us, like traditional food beliefs, everything is being changed day by day. And more of the dietary pattern has been like they've been indulging in eating all the fast foods, and mostly, like sir has been told, bread has been like, it is a traditional food. Abhi to it's been like a day-to-day food ho gaya. Everyone, if you've been thinking about a food recall, most of the people used to tell at least in a day they used to have some sort of sandwiches has been there. So because of these sort of processing foods in their diet, so they will be end up in obesity, and obviously they will be end up in other comorbidities according to their age factor. So what are the things I believe, what I was being in my practice, even in the OPD, even in the IPD, I used to tell not only the patient, I used to tell the patient relative, this is the thing which he's been going to follow hereafter, that will be not depicting his own health improvement. It will also improve the health of the other people in the family, because which are the dietary modifications we have been giving, it has been not only with their current status, it will improve their nutritional status and well-being. Because what are the dietary modification we used to give. It has been not like exactly you have to change what are the foods. Abhi tak aapne kya kya khaya hai, you have to completely change your thing. It won't be work out at any situation, because what are the things we have been read in books, we can't implement all of the thing in the practical setup, because that's what we used to ask the recall. What is the food habits what you have been following? With that only we can able to make a changes in our pattern. Because what are the things we have been read and we have been simply writing a diet charts and we have been giving them, we don't work out. We have to ask them their own personal likes, dislikes and their recall, then only we'll make a changes in that. So it has been easy for them to follow. So with that, and once we have been made a diet chart also, we have to ask the patients is they have been following in a right way and what are the difficulties they have been facing it up. Is it with the food preparation they have been making it's been finding a difficulty, or with the other things, मतलब कुछ नया foods हमने introduce किया है, for that they have been facing a difficulties. So with that data and whenever we have been having a follow-ups, that time we can able to know whether they have been following a data or not. And mainly nowadays, everyone used to have a thought that dietitian has been only for a weight loss. It has been not a thing. And once we have been stepping into the hospital, main thing we can able to focus most of the therapeutic diets which we have been giving. Mainly, once the people has been setting up into the hospital, then only they can able to know what are the things they have been having once the test is being done. But until the test is being not done, it has been not like that we have been healed and healthy. So once ourselves we have been testing has been done, then only we can able to know what are the parameters has been abnormal. So it has been not thing everyone has to go to one part for the test, but the basic test has to be done in the family. So everyone, like previously diabetes or blood pressure or koi bhi heart issues, cardiac ka kuch bhi cases, it will be like more than 50 or 60. Nowadays we can see it in the early stages also. Likewise in the children's also we have been having so many cases, and in the adulthood also we have been seeing so many cases. It has been better to have a proper health checkups in the equal intervals with the family, that will be depicting the healthcare, and that will improve the status, nutritional status of the family also. With that data we can able to guide them in a right way. And moreover, likewise I've been told nowadays also it has been going on practice, the women in the family, they've been having they've been not concentrating on their own health. They used to take care of the father, they used to take care of the husband, they used to take care of a son, and not on themselves. Mainly aaj ki situation mein bhi so many people have been having the leftover foods. It has been not at all advisable. Mainly, Sanjiv sir has been talked about the type of cooking, how much the temperature should be there, what is the hard foods, what are the cold foods. But apart from that, the foods which has been stored, it has been not a frozen foods we have been getting, but which the foods has been prepared in a right time and right temperature. Even it has been stored in the refrigerator and they have been using it on the next day, and it has been not at all advisable. But even though nowadays, even in this century also, the female who has been in the family, they've been taking care of throughout the family, but not on themselves. That is a main thing. Mainly the women advanced stage, they have to ask, like sir has been told, like within a 6 months they have to start with the weaning food. But in my hospital setup also, I can notice so many people, they've been like, they're literate, but even though they doesn't have a knowledge on, either they have to start it at early weaning, 6 months if they have to start karna hai, or they have to wait till 1 year. They have been having a doubt. So I'm having so many patients over here till 8 months, the baby has been under only breastfed. Apart from that, they've been not started any food at all.
That's right.
This is a one thing. So that is mainly a difficult thing. So that time, achanak se humne shuru kiya to bhi, so we have to concentrate on so many things. Either the milk is being suited for the baby, because they've been not started the outside milk also, and the egg is being suited for the baby. Either each and everything we have to counsel for the patient. Mainly we used to train them which each and everything, like how many scoops they have to start it up, in which way they have to start it up. As like sir has been told, mainly salt and sugar will be restricted till 1 year of age. That has been like a good point we have to remember. And we used to advise for the family, it has been starting from the weaning foods until in the school going age also. We have to concentrate on more things, because aaj ki situation mein they've been forgotten about the vegetables at all. Nobody has been having in a form of any sabji at all. Mostly the children's prone to have more aloo, or other vegetables. Mostly like a green leafy vegetables has been eradicated in their diet.
Absolutely
So
right.
mostly,
Yeah, you are absolutely right. As a matter of fact, you're very rightly pointing out that in order to ensure continuity of care, what the hospital advice has to be really linked to the family setting, and you have to ensure that whatever you are saying in the hospital, what you are prescribing in the hospital, is also complied with. Otherwise, what is said in the hospital, if not complied at the family level, it goes, it has no impact. So I
yes, sir.
mean, since we are racing against time, so yeah,
Follow up also.
follow up care. So I mean, I think these are very important points which you have brought to surface. The follow up care at the family level. As a matter of fact, in our
With
standard in our
the
standard
family, it is not only particular patient, it should be along with the family, so the family member will also have a knowledge on it, and they will be applied to the other friends also, so they
exactly.
will, the other society also will gaining a knowledge regarding that.
I also, get enlightened from what you are saying. The role that the hospitals or tertiary center can play to strengthen the practice of primary healthcare at the family level. So that's very important. This is a take-home point from your talk, that nutrition is included as an integral component of primary healthcare, which we think is going to be practiced at the primary center or at the family level. But then it has to be strengthened by those who are credible source of information working at the tertiary care level. So that's very important. And I think since we are racing against time, I will take this opportunity to move on to our next speaker, who is Dr. Babina Nandakumar. And I have a great pleasure in introducing this speaker to our rest of the panelists. Now, she is a qualified, professional in the area of yogic sciences and naturopathy. She is BNYS, Bachelor in Naturopathy and Yogic Sciences, and she is Chief Medical Officer at Jindal Natural Care Center at Bangalore, and where she is leading a team of around 35 naturopathic physicians. She is also an active research worker and has been a speaker at various national and international conferences, and has authored, close to 4 books, and has published many research articles on the subject. Now, especially Dr. Babina, we are all very keen to know that in this current situation, when we are hit by the pandemic of COVID-19, which doesn't have any prescribed cure, most of the people are talking about, building immunity, changing lifestyle, adopting positive attitudes, having foods which boost your immunity, and more and more emphasis on modifying lifestyles and building innate immunity. Against that background, how really you advise the fellow professionals and people at large to build their nutrition status? Over to you, Babina.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Satish, for your introduction. And also I thank the organizers for inviting me here for this panel discussion. So I think now everybody have spoken enough about the nutrition and the traditional ways and all that. So as you have told that I'll be speaking about the immune system. See, as you all know that immune system is the army of our body. It is not only during this pandemic times, even otherwise also, boosting up our immune system should be an important part of anybody's life. That is very, very important. See, you can have a flu outbreak any time of the year. It may not be only COVID-19. It can be any type of infection or any type of infectious diseases like maybe dengue or chikungunya, whatever type of disease. So it will not affect each and every individual, though you're living in the same neighborhood. It can attack a few and it can not attack other few families. This is because it depends upon how strong your army is or your immune system is. We have 2 types of immune system, that is the innate immunity. In naturopathy, we emphasize more on the innate immunity. That is, your body has got the capacity to heal itself when it is unhealthy. But only thing is that you need to provide proper treatment and have patience and time and give proper rest to your system. That is very important. See, in naturopathy, we believe that accumulation of toxins is the root cause for all diseases. How do you get toxins? You might say that I eat a healthy food, I eat only fruits and vegetables, and I eat all superfoods like other panelists were mentioning, it's only kiwis, strawberries, blackberries, blueberries, whatever it is. But still I fall sick. Why is that? So building up your immune system with the good food is very important, especially foods like vitamin C. So vitamin C food, you don't have to go for fancy foods to acquire that. You can get it simple with the sweet lime, that is the Mossambi. You have good amount of vitamin C. You have got lemon, which has got good amount of vitamin C. And even gooseberries, amla, this is a good source of vitamin C. Oranges, all these things you can consume in abundance, which will give you sufficient amount of vitamin C. Apart from vitamin C, zinc is also very important to boost up your immune system. So the foods which are rich in zinc, like pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, and then almonds, walnuts, these are all good sources of zinc. And vitamin D, which is a free vitamin which is available for everybody, whether rich, poor, undernutrition, overnutrition, whatever it is, you have to expose to the sunlight every day. That is very, very important. Because vitamin D is a immunomodulator and it is an immune booster. Even for all the other vitamins to get absorbed properly in your body, vitamin D is very, very important. So exposing yourself to the sunlight every day in the morning for half an hour and then again in the evening for half an hour will definitely help you in boosting your immune system.
That's right.
Apart from this, you should have salads. Raw salads are very good. Because what happens is most of the vitamins and minerals like vitamin B complex and vitamin C, they are not heat stable. So once you boil them or heat them, they could get completely destroyed. But whereas when you take it in the raw form, you get all the vitamins, minerals intact. It's like taking a multivitamin pill. So instead of going for a multivitamin pill, which is a synthetic and it has got a lot of side effects also in that in the long run, it is always advised you go for a rainbow salad. That is a salads and fruits and sprouts which contains all 7 colors. You have colored vegetables, red, yellow, green, all the purple, violet, everything you have all colored vegetables. So try to incorporate this rainbow salad in your diet every day to boost up your immune system, which is very, very important. And apart from that, eating sprouts made out of moong, moat, alpha is very good because it is a very good source of vitamin B complex and vitamin C. So sprouting enhances the absorption of these vitamins, minerals and amino acids which is present in these grains properly in your system when you sprout it up, and the digestion also becomes easier. Because for some patients who have a weak digestion and a lot of flatulence, belching, burping and all those people, they will be benefited when they have this sprouted steamed sprouts. And apart from that, you should be eating more of nutritious food that have low energy density. That is, example of low energy density food is that which is fruits, lean, then wholesome grains, beans, cabbage, cauliflower, these type of vegetables are very good.
Very good.
And you should avoid saturated fat. That is the butter, cheese, fried food, sweets, chocolates, all these things has to be avoided completely. And even alcohol and smoking also has to be avoided, because alcohol smoking also inhibits in the absorption of nutrients in your body, and that also weakens your immune system in the long run.
That's important. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is the reason to improve your immune system, the main thing what you have to do is you have to detox your system. That is very important, I'm telling you. The diet part is one part, but the main part is that detoxification of your internal system is very important. See, in naturopathy, what we believe is that we have got the 4 natural outlets in our body. That is the skin, kidneys, lungs, and intestine. That is the large intestine. So when you undergo this naturopathy treatment, we try to stimulate the skin with different types of massages. That is the manipulative therapies we have. We have the Swedish massage, we have the deep tissue massage, the hot stone massage, chirally massage, lymphatic massage. Different types of massages are there, which helps to improve your blood circulation, your lymphatic drainage. And the research has proved that it improves the natural T killer cells. That is the main immune booster cells in your body. And then we have the kidney pack to detox your kidneys. We have different types of packs like the kidney pack and the different types of hydrotherapy treatments like the hip bath and even the natural diuretics. I can tell you, you can drink tender coconut water, barley water, jeera water, dhania water, tender coconut water. These things are very good to dilute the toxins and then excrete it out of the kidneys. And then for the skin, we have the steam bath, sauna bath, the sun bath. These things open up the skin pores because skin is the biggest excretory organ in our body. So once we give all these type of heat therapies, the skin pores are opened up and all the toxins are excreted out of the skin. And then for the lungs, we have the yoga and pranayama, which is very important. So we have different types of therapies also to remove the excess of mucus and phlegm from the system. And that is, we have the drainage drainage therapy we have, and we have the partial massage to the chest and back, and yogic kriyas like Jalneti, Sutraneti, Vaman Dauti, Vastra Dauti. All these things helps in removing the excess of phlegm from the system. And apart from that, pranayams like the Anulom Vilom, Bastrika, and then Kapalbhati, all these things helps you to remove the toxins and the phlegm from your system. So to build up the immune system, apart from the detoxification, diet, yoga and meditation is also very important, because yoga is the only thing which can bind your mind and body together. And meditation is also very important to improve your sleep. That is also very important, because sleep is also very important, because what is happening in this pandemic times is that because of the loss of jobs, stress, tension, people are having lack of sleep, and people go to sleep also very late. So the circadian rhythm of the whole system is imbalanced.
That's very important.
So that imbalance of the circadian rhythm itself weakens your immune system.
We need to restore that, and I think very, very valuable advice on how really to build up your innate immunity by modifying your diet pattern and also taking recourse to appropriate detoxification measures, which Dr. Bibina has very rightly pointed out. Now, I think we are running out of time. So before I wind up, I would just like to know from my panelists if they would like to say something which they feel is very vital and like to enrich the session by making some suggestions. Dr. Sanjiv, Dr. Seema, I'd like to say something on what, like to sort of give your comments before I close it. Yes, Sanjiv, you are mute. Please unmute yourself.
Thanks for pointing out. The only message I want to give as concluding remark is we need to reverse the pyramid, put the family, home, and community on top. Look at what they are doing and what we should be doing in policy and sectoral approaches to support them.
That's right. I think what I feel is, after listening to a learned panelist, that this problem of nutrition is both serious as well as embarrassing. It's serious because of obvious reasons, because it leads to very, very serious consequences in terms of cognitive deterioration, physical growth deterioration, loss of productivity, increase in morbidity, mortality, so on and so forth. But then it is embarrassing. After listening to you all, I can safely say that time-tested and workable solutions have been with us. They have been available with us and we have access to all those knowledge. Of course, knowledge is ever growing, but I think the critical interventions which could have saved the present situation from occurrence were there with us, and we did not apply that. Whether you talk of, exclusive breastfeeding, or if you talk of timely complementary feeding, or using, homemade, food items, mixing them in proper proportions, or our traditional practice of supporting somebody in the family to act as a caregiver, to take care of the child, to take care of the pregnant and lactating mother. I mean, those were the systems were there already. Or to have, some kind of situation created in the family to provide psychosocial stimulus to the young child. Because that is very important, early child care. And we know in our families, the grandparents, they used to talk to the child. And studies have shown that if you provide, stimulus to the child, social stimulus is as important as providing food to the child. So I think all these solutions were there with us. Food fortification. Now, India started way back in 1953 to fortify vanaspati with vitamin A and other fat-soluble vitamins. We had, success stories in terms of high digestion of salt, and now we have come up with the double fortification, fortified salt. So these solutions were known, but somehow we could not implement. So that means there is something which we are missing. And what is that which we are missing has to be really found out. We have to build on what people know. We have to really convert this, public awareness, public movement into some kind of social movement for nutrition. And in this context, I think our local self-government, Panchayati Raj institution, our community leaders will have to play a very, very important role to really ensure that nobody in the area, in their elected constituency, is suffering from malnutrition or night blindness, so on and so forth. So community has to come together, the family members have to come together, and really we have to put pressure on our policymakers to implement what are the different entitlement programs. The school has to play a very important role, as most of the speakers have said. So I think if you all make collective efforts, we are really going to solve this problem, which we are committed to address. I will also like to remind you of our 43rd article. 43 Constitution article says that it should be one of the primary duties of the state to improve the nutrition status, to improve the public health condition of our citizens. But so far we have not been able to achieve that. So it only requires collective effort, a change in focus on how we approach the nutrition problem. Nutrition has to be addressed as an issue of basic human right. Then and then alone we are going to solve this. I'll stop here, and I really thank all of you for making very, very valuable and professional contribution to this very important topic.